This is the Concealed Carry Podcast, Season 12, Episode 20. And welcome to the Concealed Carry Podcast, part of the concealedcarry.com network, brought to you by HK. Today is Wednesday, December 31st, 2025, New Year's Eve. As of recording of this episode, I am your host, Riley Bowman, and I'm joined today by Jacob Paulsen.
Here I am. I'm here. It's me.
And here we are, as I mentioned, on New Year's Eve. We're about to welcome in 2026. It's hard to believe 2025 is already gone.
Ooh. Yeah, man. We're not getting any younger.
No. I remember when it was, just the start of 2025, thinking, wow, quarter of the way through the 21st century. And now we're more than, it just seemed like, it didn't seem like it would go by that fast, I guess.
It just occurred to me, February is going to be our 10-year anniversary on this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we should do something cool.
We should do something cool.
I don't know what it'll be.
I could say, hey, folks, listeners, viewers, hit us in the comments section in the email, hotline with your suggestions of what we should do. And we're going to get all kinds of crazy suggestions.
We probably will.
Give away a gun. Give away $10,000. Whatever.
Give away $10. $1 for every year.
There you go. I'll put up the $10 for that then.
Yeah. No one will get excited about that.
Yeah, we'll give away $10, and we're going to give away $1 to 10 people.
There you go. 10 different people are going to earn $1.
Well, welcome. Today we're going to be actually doing kind of a year in review, looking back at 2025. We're going to talk about some of the biggest industry news as we saw it, things that were, kind of some of the top read articles on our website. We'll talk about some top news and legislation and different things that happened this past year. We're also going to share some of the, our favorite justified save stories from the year. That'll be a little bit later in the episode. There's some good ones there, some wild ones, some of our favorites there. And we'll look forward ahead at 2026 and what we see coming on the horizon and some plans for 2026 and so forth. Anything else you want to add to that as far as an intro?
No, I think, that's the thing. We're going to try and recap the year a little bit.
Yeah. We got a couple of sponsors. First up, KSG Armory Holsters. We'll talk about some new stuff with KSG. It's new as of this year. It's stuff that that happened in the last year. So that's kind of part of the intent there is to share some of the new products that KSG Armory came out with. And we're also excited that our lead time at KSG is probably as low as it's ever been.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Which we're really excited about. So now's a good time to order a KSG Armory holster. So I would take advantage of that. Now is a great time. New year. Some of you probably got a new gun for Christmas. I can't promise we make holsters for every new gun, especially like the really, really new stuff. Like if it just came out this year, maybe we have a few that we are making holsters for. But hey, guys, go to ksgarmory.com. You can actually input in right there on the main page of the website. You can select a manufacturer and a model of gun to see what holsters we offer for that. And if you don't see it listed, then we don't make one for it. Sorry. But we try to make as many as we can for as many different models as we can. The ones that make sense in particular. I just saw a review, Jacob, this new gun that just was announced recently. It's called like the Zermatt Waltz 9 or something like that. Yeah. Weird name, weird freaking gun.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, yep, sorry, don't have a holster for that, and probably won't.
Probably won't.
Even
you never know.
Yeah, even though it looks like a cool gun, but yeah. Anyway, guys, ksgarmory.com is our website for holsters. Again, super low lead time right now. I hate to give specifics and promise anything, but we're sitting. I don't know. What do you want to say about that, Jacob?
Right now, the website states a 38-day lead time.
Yeah. So, and we were
Which, to be clear, we're not proud of. Like, we wish that the lead time was like 7 days. Like, that would be target for us. But as long as we're being transparent and vulnerable here, our lead time has been as bad as 100 days. So we're really proud that we've gotten it down from 100 days down to 38 days over the last quarter or so. And we're continuing to try and push that number lower. But yeah, right now is a good time to order because your wait time is going to be the least it's probably ever been.
Yeah, and we continue to beat, as of right now, the current stated lead times. Uh, we're trending downwards, so we're very, very happy about that. Understand that every holster is handmade, literally.
Yeah, made to order.
Yeah, those orders come in. One of the things that's unique about KSG Armory is we're kind of in the middle between like production holsters and custom holsters. We're basically semi-custom because you can choose your not only your manufacturer and your model of gun, but you can choose right hand, left hand, which people would say, well, we expect that, of course. But there are actually some holster companies out there that don't make holsters for left-handers. If you don't believe that, like, trust me, that they exist, because you're talking like 10-12% of your population, and it's sometimes hard to justify operating costs to support a small fraction of the population. But right hand, left hand, sweat guard height, length of the holster, we have a plethora of holster or belt attachment options that not every company has or supports. We've got plenty of options and ways to mount things to the holster to then mount it to your belt, which just makes it very adaptable and customizable to you. And of course, color, if you want a different color choice than just black, right? So lots
wing
of options.
options, wedge options, threaded
Yes.
barrel. Yes, no. The biggest downside of ordering a KSG holster is you have to be prepared to play 20 questions.
But you can get the holster exactly how you want it.
That's right.
So, and that's why when we say it's made to order, that's how it is. It comes in, we get an order sheet. It's like, okay, these are the things that this holster needs, and every holster is a little bit different, a little bit unique. So, anyway, there you go, ksgarmory.com. Our other episode sponsor is the 2026 Guardian Conference. Super excited about that. We are actively finalizing our list of instructors for this next year's conference. We've had a couple fall through, that we were hoping to have back, or to have for the first time. Actually, we were working on somebody we were pretty excited about, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. Not everybody's schedule or the stars and all that just don't align.
That's right.
But we're really close, and we're excited about, as always, every year, every lineup is fantastic, because we're talking some of the best instructors in the country coming to our 3-day training event in Oklahoma City in September 2026. We hope that you'll sign up. What else do you want to add to that?
This is also the cheapest time to get a ticket to the Guardian Conference. So, as right now we're doing early bird time, and as we kind of finalize the list of instructors and the list of classes, early bird price will go away and it'll be full price to sign up for that event. So take advantage of the early bird price. And if you are reading the fine print there, Guardian Nation members get an additional $150 discount. That's above and beyond the early bird price. And Guardian Nation membership is like less than $40 a month. So you could sign up and just pay for 1 month of membership and knock down your price on a Guardian Conference ticket by $150, and then cancel the membership if you want it. We obviously think you should stick around because membership is inherently valuable on its own. But that's certainly an option. We don't require you stay active for some amount of time or until the event or anything like that. It's just a way to save $150 on the ticket.
Yep. There you go. GuardianConference.com is the website. So take advantage of the early bird pricing, take advantage of Guardian Nation membership, and we hope to see you there, because, do we ever see any downtrodden faces that leave our event, Jacob?
No. It will be a positive experience for all.
100%. That's true for attendees as well as instructors that teach there. Everyone has a great time. And that's, I think, part of the learning experience. Like, when you are having a good time, you tend to learn and retain information better, right? I think science supports that. So anyway, it's a great event, great conference, and looking forward to our 6th year. That's crazy. Yep. That's crazy. All righty. Well, where do we want to start as we look back at 2025?
My goodness, I don't know. Some new guns.
Yeah. So
there are a lot of new guns probably, but some stand out to me personally.
Yeah. Well, what you got? Hit us with it.
Well, at the very beginning of 2025, so basically almost a year ago now, HK announced and released the VP9A1 series. So sort of a updated new generation take on the VP9, very popular VP9, but with some nice kind of upgrades and things, and two of those models, two different sizes.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got the F model and the K model. So, which is interesting because for the longest time, kind of your standard full size VP9 was basically a 4-inch barrel, uh, but a 17 round capacity grip length. So whereas a lot of times full size guns in the like the duty gun category tend to have more like a 4.5-inch or 5-inch barrel length. That's how HK had done it for basically a decade plus. And then to come out with a true full size, something that like really goes head to head with like your Glock 17, for example, most prevalent example, right? Yeah, and here's the other thing too. I mean, you got the F model, which is the 4.5-inch barrel, 17 round capacity standard. You got the K model, which is like a Glock 19 size, 4-inch barrel length, a little bit shorter grip. And I've taken and made kind of a mashup of the two. I like the F length barrel and the K length grip, and that's what I've been carrying for like the last month, basically. I think it's really, really cool. I think it's a really cool setup that way, and it's nice that it's interchangeable and kind of modular in that regard. But the other exciting thing about the A1 series that I think gets overlooked, Jacob, is they made it even more modular in terms of fitting the gun to the shooter, because it used to be like what was it? It used to be that there were 27 combinations, I think, of different back straps and side grip panels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And with the A1 series, and this, I think they work on all of the previous models too. It's just they announced it with the A1, and it comes standard with the A1 models. So if you get an A1 series HKVP9, you're going to get all the different side panels. You're also going to get back straps that also change the actual length of pull. So not just increasing like the palm swell area of the grip, but actually also they actually increase the length of the whole grip from the face of the trigger to like where the web of your hand meets the gun. I finally got around to playing around with that a little bit a month or two ago, playing around with some of those different back straps. And they fill in the kind of beaver tail portion of the grip a little bit more differently than previously was available, and I actually kind of liked some of those different variations. So I played around with those different back straps for about a week or so, and kind of settled on what I like and prefer in my current gun. And now I think it's 54, I think, is the magic number of different combinations. And so really, I think the HK VP9A1 series is about the most customizable gun out there in terms of how many different combinations and grip, how wide and narrow and short and deep and all that you can do to the grip itself. Obviously there's some other guns out there that are modular and that you can buy different grip modules, and that gives those guns a lot of different customizability. There we go. That's a bit of a word. Customization. I mean, I know that's a word, but customizability. I like it.
Sure. Yeah. Do it.
Custom. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Potential for customization.
Right. And, but what comes with the HK pistol, I mean, I think pretty much anybody can be happy. It fits, and I've seen it fit people that have small hands all the way up to, huge monster mitts. So really, really cool to see further enhancement with the A1 series.
I think it's also a nod to kind of what guns people want today, as far what's selling, in terms of barrel length and grip length. So I think it's certainly an acknowledgement of where the market's at.
Yeah. We got a comment on YouTube from Project 1868. It says, waiting for a push button mag release on the new VP9. I'm right there with you, Project 1868. I like my push buttons too. It's only been more recently that I've decided to give the paddle release a little more of I don't know if I'd say a serious look, because as soon as the push button's out, like I'm swapping over to a push button. But I've been doing a little bit more dry fire practice with the paddle release. And I mean, it's never really been an issue for me to use. It's more of just making it more, dare I say, muscle memory, even though it's not really what.
People get upset about that
Yeah,
term. Yeah,
but
fair enough.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So there you go. That was the first big thing that came at the beginning of the year. Later in the year, there was some huge news from a competitor of HK, which was the Glock V series. Glock announced a huge discontinuation of models of their pistols, and I remember when the way Glock did this, I think, is really interesting, Jacob. I think it's worth talking a little bit more about, because I don't think we have really talked more about the new Glock stuff on the podcast. But I remember earlier in the year, Glock, and they basically just lined out a whole metric ton of models on their website. It was like, whoa, what is going on? I wasn't sure how much of that was a consolidation versus something, that was coming soon. But I thought it was interesting that they announced that discontinuation of models pretty early in the year. I mean, that was probably, I don't know, May or June or thereabouts when I first saw that news. And then it was a few months, August or September, when, all of a sudden the V series became a thing. Like, oh, Glock's coming out with the V series. And people were speculating this had to do with combating the whole Glock switch thing, and California putting some pressure on them. And I don't even know actually how much of that was Glock actually submitting to pressure from states like California. I don't know. Still don't know the answer to that fully. It's not like anything beyond a Gen 3 was California roster approved anyway. So I don't know.
But I mean, I think that what's clear is that, I mean, in hindsight now, I mean, at the time that the V Series was announced, I was like, oh, interesting timing. California just passed and signed the law banning all Glocks. So the timing was, suspicious, I guess. But now in hindsight, I guess, without knowing anything, without having been told jack squat from Glock. In fact, they did a media event, about a month or something ago. And Riley, you and I were not invited. So I have nothing official from Glock. But now in hindsight, I see that not too long after the V Series announced, they announced the Gen 6 pistols. So you really had two releases this year from Glock. You had the V Series, which suspicious timing, and then not that long after, frankly, the Gen 6. So soon after, almost without question whatsoever, we had to acknowledge that the Gen 6 was already in works, right? Like Glock clearly was working on the Gen 6 pistols. So how I perceive it, this is just Jacob whateverness, I perceive that, hey, we're working on the Gen 6. It's not ready yet. Oh, crap. California just signed into law a ban on Glocks. New Jersey and Illinois are suing us right now. Let's put out an intermittent release. We're not quite ready for Gen 6, but we can do this V Series thing, and that'll tide us over until Gen 6 when we can totally address all this drama. That's how I perceive it. But again, I'm making that up.
Well, I agree that the perception in that regard, that's how it comes across. And it's probably not the best look, although it's understandable because, Glock's caught a lot of heat in the last few months about, they're giving in to these government entities, these states in particular, right? And yeah, of course, the Second Amendment diehards are going to definitely harp on that, which I understand. What I thought was interesting though, Jacob, is I agreed because the Gen 6 obviously has been in the works for a while. In fact, there were some patents that were filed that came out a little bit ago. Just some people dug up and were able to find that. Well, it appears that maybe at one point Glock was considering incorporating into the Gen 6 a modular grip system where essentially you could actually remove the lower like 2/3 of the grip and pop on a different grip to like change the length, go from a compact size to a full size, or maybe even change the actual sizing and diameter and palm swell and all that of the grip itself. But it appears that they've, at least for the Gen 6, abandoned that modular grip. And it was a pretty interesting looking patent from what I saw. But it's apparent, as you mentioned, that Gen 6 was in the works for a long time. Those sorts of things typically are. And so it's like, okay, we announced earlier in the year, here's all these models that are discontinued, and no word about like what was going to happen or replace those or whatever. And then suddenly the V series comes out, and it appears that that's kowtowing to governments that are coming after them, you know. And then shortly after that, here's the Gen 6, which is like totally different than the V series Glocks as far as like it. I mean, it appears the Gen 6 has the same V series type backplate, right? Which was like the big major change to the V series. But what was weird is they announced the V series, and it was like, here's a Glock 17, here's a Glock 19. What was there? It was like, and I think the 45, I think was the other one. Like 3 models of Glocks, V series, so V marked on the slide even, and none of them optic compatible. And you remember the question? I was like, that makes no sense. Like, why are these not even optic compatible? Like in today's world. And then shortly after, the Gen 6 comes out, which is totally redesigned as far as the grip contouring and texture, the trigger guard, as far as having an undercut. The trigger itself is different. There's a thumb rest on the frame. And it's optics compatible with a completely new optic ready design from the old MOS system. And it's like, I just don't understand the V series. So I think maybe you're right that it really was a knee jerk, like, we got to do something.
Yeah,
But
to hold us off.
I'm not sure that really accomplished anything,
It didn't,
right?
other
So
than some potentially negative PR. But
yeah, so is that
yeah,
just a big snafu on their part in your opinion?
yeah, I guess in my opinion it is. But that's with all this limited information, right? I wasn't in the meetings.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they have a team of lawyers who had opinions. I mean, who am I to judge? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I am judging. Too late. I guess I judged.
Yeah. Appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. Project 1868 says he's hoping to get a Gen 6 G17 on Blue Label discount and wants to see a Gen 6 G26X.
I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Yeah, I don't know for sure on that. But yeah, good stuff. Jacob, tell us about the first Revolver Fest. Let's move on to that now. You were able to attend, and how'd that go?
Events in this industry come and go, but I was lucky to go to the first ever Revolver Fest, which was held in South Carolina back in October, hosted by the guys over at American Fighting Revolver, Eastridge and Bulky, and I think they prefer DB and Y. Anyway, good times. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It was a sellout event. I don't know, 120 or 125 attendees, something like that. 8 or 10 instructors, different bays running at the same time. People were really engaged. A lot of wheel guns, man. And they did a media day, which was kind of cool. So they had all the manufacturers come and just lay out guns and let people shoot them for a day. And then the next 2 days were class and instruction. I thought the Revolver Fest was a cool event. And I know that they are bringing it back for 2026. So that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of been this resurgence of sorts in the revolver space. There's been some new models that have been released in the last couple of years that have proven to be quite popular. I mean, we're not talking Glock 19 levels of popularity, but we're talking for revolvers quite popular, where certain models and SKUs have been selling out. Some of these kind of updated designs, including some that Daryl and Brian have both worked on or consulted on. And I've dabbled a little bit in revolvers in the last couple of years, and it's been fun. It's been fun to connect with kind of what might have been called a bygone era a little bit, but is seeing a little bit of resurgence. And it's obvious that there's enough passion amongst at least it's probably a smaller crowd, but a very, very vibrant crowd. If these revolver events are selling out, that's a pretty good indicator that there's enough interest out there, at least among some folks, to learn more about shooting and carrying and using revolvers.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, this was also my second year at the Pat Rogers Memorial Revolver Roundup at Gunsight, and that's an event that's been going on for some time. But yeah, I guess for me personally, in my annual Jacob Roundup, I suppose, I had a lot more revolver chat and instruction and exposure than I traditionally would. And so I think that, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, where am I at with revolvers? I'd be like, they're dead. They can stay dead. Like they're cool collectible items if you're a collector. But now I think I'm a little bit more on board with the idea that there are some places and situations where the revolver it can be the winner, where it is maybe the best tool applicable to those scenarios. It's just those scenarios are far less than the situations where, in DB's words, that soulless plastic gun is probably a preferred tool.
I certainly have a preference personally for that soulless plastic gun, striker fired gun in particular. I mean, when I've got a gun that is pretty small, like I'm speaking of like the CC9, for instance, that still holds 12+1 and is quite shootable. It's more than double the capacity of my J frame. And it doesn't, in my normal day-to-day activities, there's basically no downside to carrying a CC9, for instance, use that as an example. Now, I mentioned earlier, I've kind of switched from carrying the CC9 as my usual everyday carry because I wanted to get a little bit more just back on the VP9 train a little bit and kind of switch things up a little bit. And there is something to be said about a larger, easier shooting gun, even in a concealed carry context. I've carried very large full-size guns, even heavy ones, like my 42.5 ounce back when I was a P320 fanatic, and carried a full-size X5 Legion, P320 with a light on it. I did that for quite a while, actually, so big gun, small gun, doesn't matter to me. But I'll say this, you and I have both been getting more into running lately for cardio workout. I've been doing it for about the last year or so. I think you're just kind of getting back into that after you used to be a runner when you were younger. And there's something to be said about throwing an airweight J-frame revolver on my person to go out for a jog than even like say the CC9. Like I've done runs with the larger guns, but I can throw a J-frame on and I truly, like, after a mile or two, I almost don't notice anything that I'm carrying. But this last year I ran a half marathon. I ran a full marathon, not an official race one, but I ran 26.2 miles for kicks and giggles with my wife. And you start to feel the weight when you're, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 miles into a run for sure. So I like throwing my little, model 442 on a Enigma and go for a run. It works great in that capacity, and it conceals very well.
Yeah, for those who are wondering, why the revolver, we put up a video on the website on concealcarry.com. The full video title is Daryl Bulkey Revolver Safety Brief from Revolver Fest 2025. It's a 22.5-minute video. And I think you have to be a member to see it. I think this one's restricted behind the paywall, so only Guardian Nation members can watch it. But it is a 22-minute safety brief. But to call it a safety brief really doesn't do it a lot of justice. And I can see people skipping over that video. If you were a member, you should probably go and watch it. So it's really like Daryl's way of giving a safety brief while explaining how the revolver is different and where it shines in 22 minutes. It is fantastic content. After I got done filming it, I had 3 people in that class walk over, like, did you just film that? Can I get a copy? Will you send that to me? People were really like, it was just really good.
And you were like, go join the Guardian Nation. Weren't you?
So,
I hope.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Well, one of them I was not. One of them was a product manager for Ruger, and I was like, oh, like we should talk. And yes, I'll send you that video. But anyway, we've never really had much of a relationship with Ruger as a company in the past, and so it was really nice to meet some of those guys out there. They're some really good dudes from Ruger. But yes, just the revolver's bouncing back, and along those lines, KSG this year we released a revolver wheel gun focused holster design.
Yep. I think it's a perfect segue. So talk about kind of some 2025 stuff for our businesses or brands. KSG Armory. We actually launched 3 new products. let's be clear. Like, if you look at KSG Armory's products, you'll see different holsters with different kind of purposes or focuses, and each of those has their own branded, product name. So, for instance, the Lexington holster is, I mean, that is our flagship holster. That is the number one choice for 95%, probably. I don't know. I'm pulling a number out, but it's a high percentage of concealed carry needs and what most people buy when they buy a KSG Army holster. Then we've got our Revere holsters, which are the Revere has a lot of similar design characteristics to Lexington. Has the same clip grid design, which is kind of our. It's not patented, but it's our unique design to holster belt attachment, and hardware and stuff. Very adaptable. We'll call it a attachment chassis of sorts, right? Where you can attach a variety of different hardware to the holster and arrange that in a way that suits you the best, right? To have different cants or ride heights and so on, right? So Revere has a lot of that same stuff as Lexington, but Reveres are all weapon mounted light based. So a Revere holster is going to have some kind of light on the gun that makes it work with the holster. Then we get into the Declaration, which is a minimalist holster and is mostly optimized. Like, as we see it, I think, our view on that. We have people that certainly buy Declarations to just put a single clip on it, and they want the most minimalist holster possible, and they do that. But probably most people that buy Declarations they're buying it to put it onto like an Enigma chassis. Mm-hmm. And so that's really kind of what that Declaration exists for. Well, we released this year the Saratoga holster, which is our revolver line of holster product. So that was probably the first big thing, and very excited about the Saratoga. And it's an awesome little holster. It's what I carry my J-frame in. It mounts to a Philster Enigma chassis. It works great as a standalone holster with a monoblock on it, or a couple of DCC clips, or soft loops, or whatever. So pretty excited about the Saratoga. It's been very popular. People seem to like it. Conceals well. It's easy to carry in, and lightweight, and works well in the revolver context. Did you freeze on me? Looks like you're frozen. Well, looks like we'll have to get Jacob back. Don't know what happened here, but yeah, he's gone. All right, so I'll carry this on. So what else? Two other additional new products for KSG Armory this year, and that is actually, first off, the Yorktown holster, which is an outside waistband holster. It's really kind of our first true outside waistband design. And it uses a kind of a unique clip mounting system, not really clip, but loops. The belt loops mount to material called Tegris, and it's basically an ambidextrous outside waistband holster design. So we're pretty excited about the Yorktown. What that means, it gives people an OWB option that's pretty concealable. So yeah, not a whole lot to say about that, but it's OWB, and that was like a first big thing for us to get into OWB holsters at KSG Armory. But also a holster design that we've been making for several years, for Dave Spalding at Handgun Combatives. Earlier this year, Handgun Combatives decided they would stop. We got Jacob coming back here. Hey, he's back.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you froze, and
I'm having some weird network conflict stuff with my router lately. I need to do a fresh wipe of it.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, we got done talking about the Saratoga. I just went on without you. Talk about the Yorktown.
Yeah,
what that is, and well, why don't you, anything that you'd like to say that you think is kind of cool about the Yorktown?
The Yorktown has some really interesting modularity as an OWB holster, right? So the ability to adjust ride height both on the front and the rear clip, as well as cant to some degree. It's using this flex material. Tegris.
Yeah, I mentioned Tegris.
Yeah, and so that gives you some bend and some flexibility, but the way that the cuts are designed in that, which shout out to Gabe New, who really designed those originally. It's really quite ingenious, and it gives the user a lot of minor tweak ability within something that would otherwise normally be very rigid.
Yeah, yeah. And then I was just transitioning in talking about the Trenton.
Trenton, which is my favorite.
I was giving a little bit of background history on that. That used to be the precursor to the Trenton was only available through handgun combatives.
Yeah.
It was Dave Spalding's design, and KSG Armory made that for them for a lot of years. And earlier this year, they decided that they would stop selling that. So KSG Armory has all the rights to move forward with selling that ourselves, and we're working to add additional models of guns that the Trenton supports.
Yeah. Dave and his team decided to kind of kill their entire e-commerce thing, just to kind of kill that. And so it's not that they walked away from this design specifically; they just walked away from being an e-commerce company. And so that worked out for us to negotiate the rights to be able to sell those directly ourselves. I love the Trenton. I think that design is solid. Dave did great work there, and the tweaks that were made to it when he started working with Gabe back and before we picked up KSG were really solid. And I use that holster regularly when I carry OWB. So I really like it. And we just celebrated the anniversary of the Battle of Trenton, for whatever that's worth to anybody.
Yeah. We did a little bit of a sale to celebrate that with the Trenton holster. So kind of cool, kind of fun. I think we should do anniversary sales on, because we've got the Yorktown, the Trenton, the Saratoga, the Lexington, the Concord. Of course, we'd have to do the sale for Lexington and Concord. We should just do that over several days, that encompass both of the,
April 19th is a crazy day.
Yeah.
That's also the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
Also a birthday in my house. So yeah, a lot going on April 19th.
Yeah. Yeah. So been kind of a fun year for KSG Armory to offer all of these products. We've got the Riker now, right? Which is kind of a cool
was that
product.
This year? My gosh.
I don't know if that was this year, but might as well say it was.
Yeah, I did the math. It's not, but I love the Riker. Huge fan, and a revolutionary product that I don't think has really gotten out there yet. I don't think most people know about the Riker.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, it is a tourniquet belt carrier, but it is, I don't know if it's the only, but it's certainly the only good quality belt carrier that will accommodate either the North American Rescue Cat or the Soft T tourniquet. Though you do have to do a refold to the Soft T. The default factory fold won't work out.
I don't know if I would consider the default fold as it comes out of those little plastic bags
good for anything.
Yeah, it's pretty generic. It's just sort of wound up in a pile.
But we provide instructions to fold it to make it fit in the Riker, and it's really cool. You can get the Riker with all sorts of different belt attachments. It's kind of a default, and then you can get blade tech or whatever makes sense if it's a duty rig or if it's more of a traditional EDC belt. But fantastic product. Just fantastic.
And one thing I agree. I think it's an overlooked product that not a lot of people probably really know about yet or fully appreciate. It's got a lot of options, but it can be set up for OWB and actually inside waistband use as well. I don't know that a lot of people are carrying a tourniquet inside waistband, but I do know a few people that do. And you could get into a debate about, hey, is it worthwhile carrying a quality tourniquet on my person or a spare mag? That's a worthy debate to have. And having something like a tourniquet just right there inside your waistband might not be a bad idea. I don't know. I don't currently do it, at least on the regular, but maybe I'll experiment with that a little bit more, and use our Riker a little bit more in that capacity. So we really wanted that to be adaptable because, like you just pointed out, it was what we were having a hard time finding was a mag pouch. Like most mag pouches out there by default are designed to support cat tourniquets. There's a few out there that would do a soft T, right? But there were none that we could really find that were supporting both, or at least that were any decent. And maybe there were some older ones though, and that's the thing is like as tourniquet designs have evolved, that's what we ran into. Is I could make a soft T tourniquet fit into a cat, like Gen 7 tourniquet pouch, but the older soft T design. When they redesigned it and added the like little, wing or windlass clips,
retention thing. Yeah.
it made it pretty difficult to fit into some pouches, and so we worked hard to make that work, to make it work for both tourniquets. So
yeah, I dig it. And it's available in the same 13 colors that all other KSG products are, which I like it in EMT red because it's a medical tool. So making it stand out on my belt so people can see it. So it's not just coyote and black. Like you can get it in red or orange or green or purple if you want, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, purple. Yeah, we do purple. Yeah.
I saw that comment you threw up on the screen. Graham TK on Facebook says he carries both spare mag and a tourniquet. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Good stuff. Let's get to some more new products from us or our team or our family of brands here at concealedcarry.com. Chest Seal Trainer. This is kind of a fun one.
Sorry, I laughed. The jury's still out on this one. In other words, I just don't know if anyone's going to care about it. But this is a really cool product. It is for training the application of chest seals. If anyone's ever played with the chest seal before, they are a sticky hot mess. They stick to your gloves and everything. And I mean, if you're looking to wax some hair off your chest, though, you can maybe do it with a good chest seal. So anyway, the Chest Seal Trainer from Outman Medical is a simplest product ever. It's just this like silicone-based material that looks like, it's the size of an adult chest cavity, and it looks like a medical like cross section of the body. You can see the rib cage, and you can see the lungs and the heart. And so you kind of, the student gets a sense for where am I applying this chest seal? Like, what does the anatomy of the person look like right here? And like I said, it's the size of an adult torso, and the chest seals go on and off real easy. I mean, they go on and then you just peel it right off. And so you can put it back in its original packaging, depending on the specific chest seal, and use it over and over again. So you just get a lot of reps with chest seals without making a hot, sticky mess. It's really cool. I mean, I think it's really cool. But I think we've sold like 20 of them or something since we released it a month ago. So it's just not everybody needs one. Like not every average everyday gun carrier needs to practice chest seals to the degree that they could justify paying for this thing. But we just shipped a couple of them off to an EMT school. A lot of Stop the Bleed instructors have been buying them, things like that.
Yeah, it's perfect for that kind of application. But hey, maybe someone out there is listening to the podcast and is like, hey, I could use some practice, further medical practice. And if you've got some basic like TCCC type training or Stop the Bleed, that kind of thing. I don't know that Stop the Bleed really gets in the chest seal application, but if you're passionate about actually plugging holes in people and keeping blood inside people, might not be a bad idea to at least take a look at the Chest Seal Trainer from Mountain Man Medical. We also released, this was something that was a big project for all of us. It was a big project for me because I just, spend multiple days on camera filming it. And that was the Carry Optics Mastery course. We were excited to release this because, people have been wanting red dot focus training content for a while. And, we were able to get to work this year on outlining that course and filming it. Did a lot of filming over the latter half of the summer and spent a couple months, working on the video editing for that, and then released that a couple months ago. And people have viewed it, seem to really like the training content, which is always, I think, good and reassuring to me. We worked really hard to, try to teach people how to, well, it's actually more than just using a red dot on a pistol or shooting with it. Like
it's way more comprehensive.
We did a deep dive into, what are pistol optics, basic design concepts,
attributes
behind them.
Yeah.
Features, all of that, maintenance, how to take care of them, how to keep them running, how to keep them working, kind of have how to install it properly. All of that's part of this Carry Optics Mastery course. And then finally we get into the, hey, here's how to train with it and how to use it and how to, maximize your efficiency in shooting with a pistol optics. So it ended up being like an 8-hour long video course, which is available in Guardian University. It's freely available to all Guardian Nation members. You can also buy the course a la carte. Pretty excited though to bring more quality content to you guys that actually teach people, how to do important stuff. I mean, that's kind of what got us into this in the first place about a decade ago. Our first product ever was video product was the American Gun Law course that we filmed back in 2015. And we've been making feature length training courses ever since, and Carry Optics Mastery is the latest one. Oh no, looks like Jacob may have frozen again. So, well, let's see here. I'd like to hear some more thoughts from him on Carry Optics Mastery, maybe in a moment. Let's move to Places of Worship Security Roundtable. There were a couple of events this year, some major acts of violence that affected some communities in places of worship. I think that many of you are probably aware of those. And we organized a Places of Worship Security Roundtable. You could have called it a church security roundtable, but not everyone has a church. That's not entirely all inclusive. So we brought on board. We had getting a little bit distracted as we're dealing with the technology issues behind the scene here. But we had Steve Moses, who is a respected trainer in this area of church or places of worship security. And we also had Chris Matlock, who also does quite a bit of church security as well. We had a great event, huge. It was surprisingly popular from my point of view. We had a lot of people that tuned in for that security roundtable. Jacob and I were also part of it. Jacob was mostly moderating. I was doing some, a little bit of things here and there in the background, but it was a fantastic training event. A lot of people, like I said, tuned in, asked questions, gave comments, and were able to get some quality instruction from Steve as well as Chris, who were parts of that roundtable. So we'll get done talking about the security roundtable with Steve and Chris. Jacob, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
I don't know what was said. I'm really frustrated with my internet right now, but
you had some issues
that was
this
good.
morning.
That was a great roundtable discussion. I'm glad we did it, and I hope to do more things like that in the future.
Yeah. I thought we'd shift gears now and talk about the 2025 Guardian Conference. Do a quick little recap on that. It's our biggest event of the year for our company. What would you want to say about that?
It being the 5th year was really kind of cool and special, and I think we did a recap episode about it, so I don't want to get into too much detail. But I think we offered just shy of 30 unique class options at that conference, and we taught a little over 65 sessions. There was wonderful instruction there from so many great trainers, and there were some cool things that were unique about this year. Probably the thing that sticks out in my mind that I'll share, and then I'll leave it there, is that we did the HK Challenge, which was something we'd never done before. And it was just an event, effectively like a USPSA style competition stage that all the attendees were invited to participate in. And, some prizes were awarded to people who did that and to the top shooter at that stage. But more importantly than the prizes is just that people got an opportunity. A lot of people did something they'd never done before. And I just thought that was a really nice dynamic that added a level of, kind of competitive nature to the event.
Yeah, agreed. That was a fun tweak to the event. The education of that 3-day weekend is, I think, without comparison. There's so many opportunities to learn, not just shooting of handguns now, because we've added shotgun and rifle classes over the last 2 years. But, you got law classes taking place, medical classes taking place. Last year, unfortunately, our combatives instructor fell through, but we typically have something combatives focused. And, Chuck Haggard's always great teaching managing unknown contacts and OC spray and things like that. But then just adding something that was really just for fun. I mean, It's also quality training too. I mean, having the opportunity to get on the clock and having a little bit of pressure put on you and having to perform. I mean, some people got to experience that for the first time ever, and it's really fulfilling to me to see that, to see uh, when you put people on the clock and ask them like, "Hey, you've been training all weekend long here, learning how to shoot. Let's see how you actually measure up," and not everybody's going to always do as well as they want to, but at the very least, you can walk away going, okay, I learned something about myself. I learned something about how I handle myself under even just a modicum of pressure, and also have some fun. A lot of people are having a great time with that. HK being sponsor of the challenge, we had HK pistols available for loan, not just for that, even for this HK challenge, but also people could borrow HK pistols all throughout the weekend if they needed a loaner gun or if they just wanted to try something new and different. They were welcome to that. But a lot of people shot that HK challenge with some of the new HK VP9A1 series pistols. And so that was fun to see and for them to get that opportunity to try out those new guns. People just had a great time. And we gave away a couple prizes as well to winners of that. So,
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So that was fun. We had a great conference and look forward to 2026 as we highlighted as part of our episode sponsors here today. Guys, I can't think of. I know I'm biased, okay, but I have attended, and I have taught at multiple training conferences, and they're all great in their own respects. But what's really fun is when we get feedback from event attendees of the Guardian Conference, as well as instructors that teach at the Guardian Conference, and how pretty consistently people mention how unique and special the Guardian Conference is in its own way, and that they love coming there, that they love teaching there, that they love attending there, and that our own little kind of community that we've built kind of surrounding that, because there's a lot of people that are repeat attendees and also, of course, repeat instructors, and that's special too. But there's always new people getting welcomed into that community each year. And even if you're not there for the community, sorry, you're going to get sucked into it, whether you like it or not. But you can just come just for the training, and the training is top notch.
Absolutely.
Well, we're 52 minutes in, but we got some other things to cover here. Do you want to give a quick rundown? I think you're probably best suited for this. I think if you just give us a quick synopsis of some of the big stories of the year on the kind of courts and legislation side of things as a recap.
Yeah, a lot been going on. So we had one Supreme Court heavy gun related decision this year, which was back in March, when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against unserialized like 80% part kits. So many people just consider this kind of like the ghost gun ruling, but this was not a gun rights victory. This was a call it anti-gun victory. It was a loss for us. So basically, the ruling said, hey, you know what, like, these guns that are readily finishable are guns, and therefore should be serialized and treated legally like guns. And that was not awesome. So we'll see what comes of that one. But that for now, that's kind of the final say. A lot of stuff going on in California, man. If you live in California this year, you had a fun year for gun rights and drama. Oh my gosh. So a federal court ordered California to start issuing permits to non-residents. Well, one of the counties specifically, but basically applies to the whole state. So that was cool. Also, California had a law that was basically you could only buy one gun a month, and a federal court struck that down as unconstitutional. So presumably people in California could buy lots of guns a month now. Also, there was a ban placed on advertising guns. Oh, like there was a big drama over like a billboard that was put up. I think it was for a Canic. And oh no, like this is so terrible for the youth of today, seeing an ad for guns, I guess. And so a law was passed to ban that kind of advertising, and that was also overturned as unconstitutional. A lot of drama on that one. And then also there was a law in California, I guess technically there's still a law, that requires background checks for buying ammunition. And a federal court struck that down, but then it was appealed, and that same court agreed to an en bloc hearing. So that law has been reinstated for now until the court rules on it again with the full panel. But a lot of drama in California, man. That one's been just tons of stuff going on. It's like California, like the score there is like California 0, like gun rights 4, like
Yeah.
this year. Been a wild one for sure.
Yeah.
We could spend a lot of time talking about all the drama going on this year with gun right laws and cases relating to 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. A little less in the fourth quarter of the year, but especially in the first, second quarter of the year, just a lot of drama going on there. You have Iowa, who passed a law lowering the age to carry to 18. Florida considered a similar law. Kentucky, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Nevada, all brought legislation to the House, to the state legislature to expand or restrict firearm access for that age group. Colorado, we moved the opposite direction. We had a law go into effect this year, raising the age to purchase ammunition to 21. You have the 8th Circuit Court, which struck down a Minnesota age-based carry restriction. So that's a federal court that said 18 to 20-year-olds can carry. You have NRA versus Bondi, which is getting sorted out of Florida, which is also about handgun purchases for those under 21. You have Worth versus Jacobson. There's a lot going on. So we've just seen, and that's not been sorted yet. Is the short answer. It's been sorted in certain states or in certain districts, but the U.S. Supreme Court has not come to bat on that one yet. And it's one of those like glaringly obvious things they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
In May, you had the Washington State Supreme Court uphold a mag ban in Washington, certain magazines, certain capacities, that kind of drama. So that was less than cool. In July, you had the Pennsylvania Supreme Court strike down an open carry ban in the city of Philadelphia. So sorted that sucker out, which was important and good. You had a New York court remove a ban from non-residents applying for New York permits. So similar to what we saw in California, in New York as well, with non-resident permit applications. You had the Florida Appeals Court strike down an open carry ban in Florida as well. So we've seen a couple different states dealing with open carry things. Another one that's, and I'll maybe leave it with this one, but another one that's been big this year is what I'll call permit to purchase. So we saw a big one here in Colorado, also in Delaware. We've seen some other states deal with this. Other states already have this in place, but basically laws that require you go through some hoops to obtain a permit, and that permit is a prerequisite requirement to you being able to actually purchase a gun, not carry a gun, but to purchase a gun. And so that's some interesting drama. The Colorado law doesn't go into effect until August of 2026. The Delaware one I'm less familiar with, but I know something's going on there too. So that's going to be one on the radar, moving forward as well.
Yeah. It's like you said, been a big year, and you just covered a lot of it in like 2 minutes. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'll add that the U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear some things they haven't heard yet. So those are things we would anticipate in 2026. We have some stuff out of Hawaii that's going to be really interesting. We had a Supreme Court justice in 2025 say that they were going to, or that they needed to deal with the AR-15 question sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on the radar. So there's been some things the Supreme Court said, hey, we're going to deal with this now. Like we've agreed to hear this case or that or the other thing, but those rulings just haven't happened yet. So they're going to be 2026 stories.
Yeah. And you've got a good chance that they may take up a magazine ban case. We'll see, because all that's been getting pushed up to the Supreme Court from more than one district as well. So we'll see what 2026 brings in that regard. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I mean, as you started off, it was unfortunate that we really kind of started off the year with a major Supreme Court case that went against the Second Amendment, at least in the case of 80%, unserialized parts kits. But I think that one was not particularly popular, but I do think the current court makeup is favorable to the Second Amendment on probably AR-15s, and I think magazines have a good chance too if they actually take that up. We'll see what happens on the NFA kind of side of things too.
Yes.
There's some things going on there as well that are noteworthy, and who knows, may end up in front of the court as well.
Yeah.
So
and we've had some wins in that category as well. I mean, obviously January 1st, we get rid of the $200 tax stamp on suppressors. Yeah. We finally put an end to the ATF's pistol brace ban or registration requirement in 2025. So that was another big win I probably should have mentioned. The Trump's Department of Justice, the DOJ, has handed us several victories by either dropping lawsuits that had been filed during the Biden administration, and or basically, filing lawsuits or telling other jurisdictions to cut it out or stop this or whatever it was.
Yeah. We're definitely not, like the Trump podcast here entirely. I mean, he has done, I think the DOJ has done some things that have not also been super great, but for the most part, that's definitely been a net positive gain for the Second Amendment to see a lot of the things that have happened at the DOJ level, especially in the Trump administration. So we'll see and hope that that continues as well, and that they continue to get on the right side of the Second Amendment with those types of issues. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for the summary on that. So that kind of brings us to, we got two things here to cover. Jacob picked and I picked each a kind of our favorite justified save story from the year. And yeah, these are always a good time. We've covered a lot of justified saves over the years, and this year there were definitely some notable doozies. I almost picked one from our last episode that we covered justified saves because it was quite a doozy, but I went back a little bit deeper, and I think you did as well with your pick. So why don't we start with yours? What was your justified save pick for the year?
Well, I picked this one because it is insane. The number of elements that are involved here that we never see is really high.
Yeah.
Like this DGU looks like a TCCC class. Very rare that we see medical applications involved with defensive gun use, and this is one where we do. When we see those, it's not too common. We see improvised medical devices, and in this one we do. And when we see them, they're almost always tourniquets. In this one, it's a chest seal, which is really weird and bizarre. But also, it becomes a care under fire because this is a situation where the BG leaves the area and then comes back and re-engages and starts shooting again. So to kind of put the narrative together, what you have is a active duty Army medic who's at home in his apartment in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Sergeant Brian Lieberman of the 82nd Airborne. Okay, so he's a trained Army medic, and he's at his home in his apartment. He hears some shots fired, grabs his gun, goes outside, and he sees some dude shooting. The guy's in a car. Like the bad guy, I think, is in a. If I get into these details wrong, I'm sorry to everybody, but I'm pretty sure how I remember it. And I did read it an hour ago. So he's in his car, and the bad guy is, but he's shooting at people, seemingly randomly in this apartment complex that are out, on the sidewalk and in the parking lots or whatever. So our Army medic dude returns fire, pop, 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 and doesn't put the bad guy down, but scares him off enough that he drives off. He takes off. But now we got mayhem. People have been getting shot at, and specifically there's a 14-year-old girl who's basically developing a tension pneumothorax. She's been shot in the lower back, and she's having a hard time breathing, labored breathing. So he's an Army medic. So he improvises a chest seal out of a grocery bag, which I was thinking, here in Riley in Colorado, that'd be illegal. You can't have plastic grocery bags in Colorado.
Right.
She would have just died because we couldn't have improvised the chest seal. We should sue the state of Colorado from preventing us from having improvised chest seals. So anyway, he improvised a chest seal with a plastic grocery bag. And as he's caring for this 14-year-old girl, the bad guy comes back in the car and starts shooting again. So he shields her with his body, draws his gun, and sends more rounds at the bad guy until he drives off once again, and then he returns to caring for the 14-year-old girl. Like I said, it's the whole thing must have looked like a TCCC class in action. It's insane. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah,
saves the girl's life.
Had you not picked this story, I probably would have picked it because you're completely right that this was just a remarkable event. I've never seen anything quite like it.
I'll add one other little thought here. It could be we get a lot of stories that are as interesting or as complex as this one, but we normally don't get any of the details from the news stories. One of the things that makes this unique is that we actually know this info because that Army medic was later awarded an award. I'm trying to remember what the award was. The prestigious Soldier's Medal, the Army's highest award for heroism not involving conflict with an enemy.
Yeah.
So it's because of the award ceremony that we go back months after the incident and we get all the details of how it went down and we interview him. And so anyway, I just bring it up that we're limited in this podcast often in the DGU stories that we share in the amount of information we have, because we're getting, usually information the day or 2 or 3 after from a journalist who's got limited information themselves. But this
Yep.
is one where we just happen to know all this stuff.
Yep. 100%. That's very true of pretty much one of the great challenges of all the Justified Save stories that we cover and have covered over the years is just the lack of details in the reporting. And I understand those reporters aren't going to necessarily always have those details. And sometimes, police departments and law enforcement agencies are tight-lipped about things. There's investigations going on and only certain things can be released and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And it takes time to chase a lot of those things down too. And, the nature of our news cycle today, people move on from stuff pretty fast. So we don't always see things get followed up on. But here's my story. I picked this one because this was also just quite a story. This one happened in Decatur, Illinois. We covered this one, I think, back in like May or something of this year. Maybe it was even earlier than that. This is a fantastic example of self-defense. You got a mother, a 22-year-old mother, multiple children are in her home. I think there's like 3 kids. She has one of those kids, a baby, on her hip. She's carrying her baby and has a home break-in. I think there's 3 suspects involved. It's like a 25-year-old and let's see here. 24-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 16-year-old are involved in this crime, then breaking into her home. And multiple of them are armed with firearms. She initially announced her presence to these thugs, and as soon as she announced herself, they began firing at her, which pretty sketchy because, again, she's carrying a baby on her hip. She also had a gun, and so she returns fire. She struck, and I think ended up killing one of them ended up dying. Again, this has been a while since we covered these stories. I know she hit multiple of them. I know there were multiple of them that were injured. I wanted to say that I remember one of them dying, but that maybe is not the case. Either way, she ended up defending herself quite effectively, and I think she was also even struck in that she herself was injured during the event of her defending herself. But fortunately for her and her children, none of the children were actually injured, which is just remarkable. And like, kudos to this mother for being so remarkably resilient and capable in defending herself and defending her children from some very violent thugs. There's no other word for it. These guys were absolute thugs. No, they had zero care for the life of anybody else, including children. They couldn't have cared less. And she did what she had to do as a mother to defend herself and defend her household, defend her children. And I'd love to know more about this story myself. I'd love to be able to speak to this woman. I think that her story would be a really remarkable one to share. I don't know. Maybe I'll do some more digging on this since this podcast has brought it back up again. And maybe there are some more details that have come out, including her identity, because I think it would be really, really remarkable to feature this woman in a podcast episode. So
she was getting it done.
She was getting it done. I think it's just, really, really, really cool. A really cool story. And yours was as well, Jacob. And so that was a couple of stories from 2025 that stood out to us. I'm sure many of you listening or watching maybe had some of your own that that stood out to you. At this time, before we start wrapping it up, let's look ahead to 2026, Jacob. I think the first thing that comes to mind is we got SHOT Show here in the next month. Looking forward to going to that. And there'll be some news that comes out of that, I'm sure. Some things, some new products, and some things to cover. We plan to spend some time at the HK booth and CCW Safe, a couple of our main sponsors that have booths there. And so you can, if you're listening or watching and you're going to be at SHOT Show, definitely encourage you to check out those guys, those folks. HK booth, people there are awesome. They're fantastic people. They have great products. Same with CCW Safe. We think they have the best self-defense coverage program out there. and they're wonderful people. And yeah, if you want to connect with us, those are two good places to probably end up running into us. There are a few other companies there that we also really like, that probably worth checking out. Not necessarily sponsors, but we sell some of their products. One that comes to mind is the Type 3 malfunction round. So kind of excited to see them continue to grow and expand their business. We think that's a cool product. Mantis, of course, is there. We like those guys. Next Level Training, Assert Pistols, we like those guys. What else? Who else? And what else do you want
We
to say
could
about
make a
SHOT Show?
long list,
Yeah.
of booths to check out. If you're going to be
Yeah.
there, reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you, and we'll have a media team at the show trying to capture content about the newest products. So the other call to action here: the majority of you are not going to SHOT Show, who are listening to my voice. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and that's where you're going to get the most information about new products that are coming out at the show and things like that. And it's a big deal. Historically, this is where the biggest product announcements are made by companies in the firearm and outdoor industry.
Yep, absolutely. And folks, if there's something that you've heard about, a new product coming or whatever, and you want us to check it out, hit us up. Let us know. Sometimes, we can't be everywhere all at once, and sometimes we don't even hear about everything until, it's too late. So feel free to hit us up and say, hey, Riley, Jacob, team, go check out whatever. And if we can fit it in, and if it seems, interesting enough to us as well, we'll go check it out and try to get some content on those things as well. But looking forward to SHOT Show 2026. What else, Jacob?
So I got.
We're obviously looking forward to the 2026 Guardian Conference. We've talked about that a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be at the annual meetings. We'll probably be at the Gun Owners of America Legislative Summit. I'll be at the Girl and the Gun National Conference, the Guardian Conference, Revolver Fest, Revolver Roundup. Those are all things that are pretty locked in on our schedule. TACCon, you're teaching at TACCon this year.
Yep.
So, and probably the Active Self Protection Conference, I'll probably be there too. We'll see if I can swing it.
Yeah, I hope to as well. So I was also thinking that something else that's kind of exciting, and I'm not going to spill all the details just yet, but we are planning on filming another video training course in February. So pretty excited about that. Still some things we got to work out on that, but it looks like we'll head out to North Carolina and film some content that I think many of you will be very interested in.
It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So January, February, January's SHOT Show, February's that project. March is TACCon, latter part of March, where I'll be teaching, as you mentioned. You'll be there as well. By the way, I think there's still seats available to TACCon. So folks, if you've never attended that event, it's another good one. We'd rather see you at the Guardian Conference if you got to pick between one or the other. But
correct answer, go to both. Yeah.
Yeah. Come check us out and everybody else out at the tactical conference, the TACCon. It's a great event as well. So there you go. 2026. Looking forward to another awesome, wild, crazy, hopefully successful year for us and all of you. And so from us here at concealedcarry.com, we hope you've had a wonderful holiday season, a Merry Christmas. We wish you all a Happy New Year. We wish everyone a wonderful 2026. May we all continue to be wise and prudent concealed carriers, to do good in our communities in whatever fashion that may be, to carry our guns always and be ready for anything that might happen. That we are able and capable and prepared to step in and defend lives or save lives. It could be not just be the use of a gun, but Jacob, you not too long ago were involved in the accident, but you responded on scene to an accident and were able to employ some of your medical training, at the scene of that event. And so,
yeah, that one was pretty extreme.
Yeah. So we hope that you all can be ready for whatever comes your way. So Eddie and Project 1868 and Graham and Brent and others have commented to us today on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for being a part of this. And thanks to all of you who have listened to the podcast live or after the fact. You mentioned something, Jacob, that we're about 10 years into this, and it's pretty wild. I was just now thinking about it, and kind of hit me, and like, a little bit emotional just thinking about that.
10
Thank
years is
you.
a long time to do something.
Thank you, everyone, for your support, for being a part of this journey with us on the Concealed Carry podcast. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it if we didn't have listeners. I mean, we could. It just wouldn't be nearly as rewarding if we didn't have anybody actually listen to the podcast.
Could, but wouldn't.
Exactly. So thank you, everyone. If you would please do us a favor, like, share, subscribe to the podcast in whatever format you prefer or choose. Share it with your friends, family, coworkers, buddies you go shooting with, whatever. And if you have anything you'd like to share with us or send our way, you can do so at podcast@concealedcarry.com. A reminder of our podcast episode sponsors today, which were KSG Armory Holsters, which you can find at ksgarmory.com, and also the 2026 Guardian Conference, which you can learn about and sign up for at guardianconference.com. Again, Happy New Year's, everyone. And until next time, a reminder to train right, train often, and train safe.
So you can fight hard, fight fast, and fight true. Take care.
We'll see you.